My fiancé and I have been having a set of our own issues for months. We have 3 children, 9, 5, 2. Recently, his mom, who helps take care of his nephew, who is 12, has been just dropping him off at our house without calling or permission. The last several times, I just let it go. But once he stayed for a week straight during fall break, I finally had to send him home because school was starting again. Then I took him trick-or-treating for Halloween and found out they haven't had electricity or water for well over a month. And he told me he had no clothes or food. Without hesitation, I took him to my house and set a plan to take him to school the following week and worked it all around my work schedule because my fiancé couldn't. I told the grandmother and let her know he was fine. I took him shopping and got him all new clothes, underwear, shoes, socks, etc. He stayed for over a week, and I noticed he wouldn't get off our PlayStation 5. He refused to take showers and didn't listen to me about much of anything. He also refused to go to school for me. He even missed 2 days because he refused. It stressed me out. My fiancé was no help. He didn't enforce anything, never asked if I needed any help. I had to do it all by myself on top of work and my own children. I finally reached my breaking point. It was Sunday today, and we were going to church. I worked until 9 a.m. and came straight home to get everyone ready for church at 11. My fiancé is, of course, watching football and acts like he couldn't lift a finger, but okay, I did it. I got everyone in the car, and he has a bad attitude. We went to the gas station where he keeps making slick remarks. I finally snap back. I'm overwhelmed. I'm dealing with all this, and he has done little to nothing to help me. He gets out of the car and starts walking down the highway. I, of course, pull up to him and tell him to get in the vehicle. His nephew starts trying to get out of the car to walk with him. I tell him no, that's not safe. Just please stop. My fiancé gets back in and is livid at me and said I've been being a witch. His nephew immediately chimed in saying, "Oh yeah, I definitely agree." I cut him off and said basically to stay out of it. My daughter comes to me after we get home and tells me that she didn't want him staying at our house anymore because he told her and my fiancé that he never really liked me, and I've always been stuck up, and he can't stand me. So I just basically lost my shoot. Not at them, of course. But I called the grandma and said I couldn't do it today or right now. I won't be disrespected like this in my home from anyone. But my fiancé says I'm a jerk, basically, for sending him back home. I just don't know how much more I can take. Mini update, I'm reading comments. I'm well aware of my fiancé's actions, and he actually has not been home since right after this incident, which I made sure of. My nephew, a few hours later, was taken back to his dad, whom I have no idea where he's staying. That's not my problem. I am again well aware of what's happening and that I don't need to put up with this. I appreciate all responses and have done what I think is right for this moment. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. You need to call CPS. This is child neglect. Of course, he is disrespectful. He doesn't have a stable home life. I understand you are done with the disrespect, but this kid is in trouble and needs help. He won't get it as long as you don't report it. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Does boyfriend bring anything to this relationship besides teaching your children how to disrespect you, and you showing them that it's okay because you'll take it? Comment 3. Not the idiot, you should have sent the nephew and the fiancé home to the grandmothers. Are any of your kids your fiancés, or are they from a previous relationship? Now for the update. After I sent the nephew back and laid out my feelings to my fiancé, you wouldn't believe the poop storm that ensued. The next day, I came home to find my fiancé had cleared out his things. No note, no text, nothing. I was in shock. I tried to call him, but he had blocked my number. It felt like a bad dream. But then, things took a turn I never expected. Turns out, my fiancé hadn't just up and left me. He had been planning this for weeks. A mutual friend let slip that my fiancé had been seeing someone else and was using the nephew dropping in as a way to create distance between us so he could play the victim when he left. I was livid, heartbroken, and frankly embarrassed that I didn't see it coming. In a bizarre twist, the nephew's mother, my fiancé's sister, showed up at my doorstep, this time unannounced but for a different reason. She had heard about the breakup and wanted to apologize for her and her son's behavior. She confessed that she was struggling with her own issues and didn't realize the burden she was placing on us. We had a heart-to-heart, and she offered to pay me back for all the expenses for her son's care. I was taken aback by her sincerity and agreed to work on forgiving, but not forgetting. With my fiancé gone and my life turned upside down, I decided it was time for a fresh start. I put the house on the market, the house that was supposed to be our marital home, and I took a new job in a different city. The move was scary but exhilarating. I was finally taking control of my life again. And just when I thought I had closed that chapter, I got a call from the last person I expected, my fiancé. He was sobbing, apologizing, and begging for a second chance. He said he realized the massive mistake he had made and that he missed me terribly. But after everything that had happened, his words had lost all their power. I told him I wished him the best, but that door had closed. I won't lie, it's been a whirlwind of emotions, but I feel stronger and more empowered than ever. I've realized that sometimes the most painful experiences teach us the most important lessons, and I'm ready to see what the future holds. Now for the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. Sending the nephew back was tough love, and confessing your feelings was the right thing to do. Sometimes the universe throws us a curveball, and it takes guts to catch it and throw it back. Selling the house and starting over? That's a power move. You're not just moving on, you're upgrading your life. Your ex-fiancé's infidelity was a betrayal, and you don't owe them a second chance. Onwards and upwards. Comment 2. You're the idiot for sending the nephew back. That kid probably needed support, not rejection. But as for the rest, you're in the clear. Your fiancé was planning a breakup and cheating? Good riddance. You're better off without that kind of negativity. Starting fresh takes courage, and it's commendable that you're making bold choices for yourself. Keep that head held high and don't look back. Your future's too bright for that. Comment 3. Not the idiot and a half. Look, when life hands you lemons, you made lemonade, then sold the lemonade stand for a profit. Rejecting the ex-fiancé's pleas shows you respect yourself too much to settle for someone who doesn't see your worth. And taking the initiative to sell the house? That's not just moving on. That's being the captain of your own ship. Set sail to new horizons because you, my friend, are navigating like a champ. Now, for the next story. I, female, 40 years old, like women. When my mom was alive, she knew and respected my choice to keep it a secret because my dad was very angry and a giant hater. Unfortunately, I lost my only support, my mom, when she passed away when I was 16 years old. My dad met my stepmother less than a month later through his church buddies. They got married within a few months. My stepmother had 2 daughters around my age. I was doing great at school, and I was generally a good kid. My stepsisters were always causing trouble at school, were giant losers, and my stepmother hated me from day one. One day, she read my diary and found out that I like girls. She asked me, and I begged her not to tell my dad. She gave me a hug and promised me. Within a few hours, I heard my dad screaming and furious. She basically not only told my dad, but also cried and said she and her angel daughters don't feel safe anymore because of my intimacy orientation. I remember my dad breaking into my room with his belt in his hand. After he beat the living crap out of me while the door was open and everyone could clearly see me, he threw me out of his house. I begged him to let me stay until morning, and he said no and didn't even allow me to pick up little things I had that meant a lot to me, like my mom's photos, gifts she bought me. After spending nights in a shelter, I was fortunate enough to find a forever home when my mom's best friend and her husband took me in, and I became their daughter. I went to a great university eventually, and right now I have a great job. Here is the thing. My stepmother has emailed me. She heard I have a good job. She is saying my dad is sick, he needs care, and they need money. She wants me to support them. She went on and on about their hardship. Am I a jerk for refusing to help? I can easily help, but why should I? They are not my family. They kicked me out. Is it wrong not to give them a second chance? Update. Thank you, everyone, for your kind words. I'm floored by all your support and kindness. My stepmother made me feel like a monster with her email, but after reading your replies, I realized once again that she is being toxic. I decided to block her. I'm not her family or my bio dad's daughter anymore. They kicked me out. I always say my mom was watching out for me because I ended up being raised by very loving parents after she passed. They are incredible people. I decided instead of helping my bio dad and his wife to buy my real parents, the ones who raised me and are proud to call me their daughter, a new van. My dad, the one who loves me and raised me, has MS, so it would be easier for my mom to take him to his appointments. Once again, thank you. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. What father? That man ceased to be your father when he beat and abandoned you. If I read this correctly, you were also a minor. Frick him, frick her. Let her angel daughters support them, not the idiot. Comment 2. He stopped being your father long time ago. He attacked you and abandoned you. Screw them. Tell both of them to take a hike. You don't know them anymore, not the idiot. Comment 3. Answer them with this ha 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 ha. Now for the update. After weeks of wrestling with the decision, I finally reached out. I didn't expect anything in return, but I figured I owed it to myself to at least confront the past. I wrote back to my stepmother, suggesting we meet in person. To my surprise, she agreed. We sat across from each other in a quiet cafe, an ocean of unspoken words between us. She looked older, tired, and there was a softness in her eyes that wasn't there before. She started with an apology, her voice barely above a whisper. She told me about my father's illness, how it had changed him, made him reflect on his life and the mistakes he had made, including what he did to me. My father wanted to see me, to apologize in person, but I wasn't ready for that. Not yet. We talked for hours, and she listened as I told her about my life, about the love and support I found with my adoptive parents, about the pain that still lingered. She didn't make excuses, just sat there and took it all in. When we parted ways, something in me had shifted. I was still hurt, but the sharp edges of my resentment had dulled just a little. The choice to help them financially was still a difficult one, but I decided to do it, not for my father or my stepmother, but for myself as a step towards closure. I set up an anonymous fund to cover some of my father's medical expenses, making it clear this was a one-time gesture. And about that van for my adoptive parents, I did buy it. The look on their faces when they saw it in their driveway was priceless. They've given me so much, and seeing them explore the country in their new van, sending me postcards from every stop, has been one of the greatest joys of my life. I'm slowly building a bridge with my past, brick by brick. It's not easy, but I'm finding that sometimes forgiveness is more about setting yourself free than it is about the other person, and I'm ready to be free. Now, for the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot at all. Confronting your past takes guts, and it's amazing that you're finding closure in a healthy way. Setting up an anonymous fund shows real maturity. Plus, treating your adoptive parents to a van? That's just pure love. You're not just moving on, you're healing and spreading kindness along the way. Comment 2. You're the idiot for helping out your father financially after what you went through. I get wanting closure, but this seems like you're rewarding his past behavior. There are other ways to find peace without putting money into it, especially if he hasn't made amends himself. Comment 3. Definitely not the idiot. Forgiveness is a personal journey, and it's not about the other person. It's about what helps you sleep at night. Helping out doesn't mean you've forgotten. It means you're strong enough to rise above. And kudos for recognizing the role your adoptive parents played in your life. That van is more than just a vehicle. It's a symbol of your gratitude and love. Now for the next story. I have 2 children, a 17-year-old girl and a 14-year-old boy. Recently, my daughter showed me some comments that my son was making on some online posts with his friends. He was mocking female soccer players, saying they didn't know how to play and that they should go back to the kitchen. In other posts, he made comments about how women only care about money and are only useful for household chores. I was saddened and irritated by his behavior. I've always tried to educate him to respect women. I confronted my son, and he said it was just a joke, that he wasn't serious, and that it was how his friends joked. He said I was overreacting and that I didn't understand the jokes. I didn't accept these excuses. I had a long conversation with him and decided to punish him. I took away his computer, canceled the subscriptions to the online games he plays, and prohibited him from playing anything for a month. I also made him cut off contact with those online friends of his. He tried to protest, but I stood firm. My husband agrees that our son was wrong, but thinks I was too harsh on him. He says I should have given him a chance to redeem himself, that he's just a teenager, that he will grow and change. He says I should let him play at least on weekends, that he needs a hobby, that he doesn't have many friends. I don't think I'm overreacting. I believe he needs to understand that his actions have consequences. Am I the idiot? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot, but I would have made him learn to cook clean, as well as ask if he thinks his sister or other female relatives deserve to just stay at home cooking, cleaning for some guy, etc. Comment 2. Not the idiot. His chance to redeem himself will take place in a month, when he gets his access back in a month and has to act appropriately. Comment 3. Ask father for his opinion on what son said, because you might have some serious work to do there. Now, for the update. After the initial punishment, my son's behavior took a turn for the worse. He became withdrawn, hardly speaking to us. We tried to engage him in family activities, to talk about what happened, but he just pushed us away. My husband and I were at odds constantly. He thought I was too harsh. I thought we couldn't let this slide. The tension was palpable. 2 weeks in, the school called. My son had been involved in a fight. It was so out of character for him, a quiet kid who never raised his voice. But there he was, suspended for 3 days. The reason? He'd lashed out at a classmate who teased him about the punishment. The classmate had somehow found out about it, and my son just snapped. We were called into a meeting with the guidance counselor, who suggested that our son might benefit from talking to a professional. The comments online, it seemed, were just the tip of the iceberg of some deeper issues he was facing. Anger, frustration, a feeling of not being understood. The silver lining, if you can call it that, was my daughter. She was devastated to see her brother in such a state. She admitted to feeling guilty, wondering if showing me the comments had been the right choice. I reassured her it was, but the guilt in her eyes is something I can't forget. My husband and I finally agreed on something. We needed help. We found a therapist that specializes in teenagers and family dynamics. The first few sessions have been tough. Our son is still resistant, but we've made a little progress. He's started to open up about the pressure he feels, being in high school, trying to fit in. We're learning as a family how to communicate better, how to be there for each other. The hardest part? Admitting to myself that my reaction may have contributed to the spiral. I thought I was teaching him a lesson about respect and consequences, but I didn't see the whole picture. Now we're picking up the pieces, hoping we can heal as a family. I'm not looking for sympathy, just needed a place to let this out. Thanks to those who gave advice on my original post. Here's to hoping the next update will be a more positive one. Now, for the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. Hey there. You did what you had to do as a parent. Kids don't come with a manual, and we all make mistakes. It takes a strong person to admit when their actions may have added to the problem. Getting professional help is a great step forward. Keep at it, and don't beat yourself up too much. Progress, not perfection, right? Comment 2. You're the idiot. I get that you're trying to help your son, but airing his dirty laundry online was a privacy invasion and probably made things 100 times worse at school for him. It's good you're seeking therapy now, but you should have considered the impact of your initial actions and how they'd affect his mental health and social life. Comment 3. Not the idiot. You were in a tough spot, and you're taking steps to fix it. Getting a therapist involved shows you care and want to better the situation. Sometimes things need to get worse before they can get better. It's good to hear you're all putting in the work to heal as a family. Stay positive and keep supporting each other. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.